We all meet some weirdos in our lives, but I'm pretty sure that none of you have met a turbo granny who wants to steal your wiener. In this video, we'll figure out ways to defeat this weirdo, but before we talk about that, I think it would be better if we recap the story a bit. It all begins in the quintessential anime classroom setting. Sunlight streams through the windows, but the mood is anything but cheerful. Our heroine, Momo, is sobbing her eyes out after being dumped by her boyfriend. Honestly, I can't figure out why she's so heartbroken. The guy literally kicked her. Yes, you heard that right, kicked her. She's the victim in this situation, but apparently, it's all fine and dandy just because the guy resembles Ken Takakura. While Momo is crying her heart out, we shift focus to another student, a guy who could not be more uncool if he tried. He's awkward, timid, and an easy target for bullies. The classroom bullies, sensing weakness, swoop in, and it's clear this guy is no stranger to being pushed around. But just when the teasing reaches a fever pitch, Momo steps in like a boss. She confronts the bullies, effectively saving him from further humiliation. The guy, overwhelmed, starts trembling as he tries to thank her. It's painfully obvious he's never had a friend, let alone any kind of interaction with a girl. Imagine his inner monologue at this moment. Is this real life? Did a girl just talk to me? Am I dreaming? Since Okarun is a loner just like you guys, he decides to pour his heart out about ghosts. We'll just call him the nerd. Momo, however, isn't here for it. She shuts him down with a scathing one-liner. This is why you have no friends. Ouch. Despite this awkward start, Momo and the nerd engage in back-and-forth banter. When Momo casually reveals she's into ghosts, the nerd laughs at her, calling it ridiculous. Their playful bickering escalates, and they decide to settle the argument with a challenge. Prove whether ghosts or aliens are real. Later that night, the nerd finds himself standing before the creepiest tunnel imaginable. It doesn't take long for the supernatural to reveal itself. The nerd stumbles upon a ghost, and things get very real very fast. Meanwhile, Momo is having her own paranormal experience. Out of nowhere, a group of freaky aliens abduct her. She wakes up on a UFO, surrounded by a bunch of weirdos trying to take her banana. Amid the chaos, an unexpected figure appears, Pervy Granny. However, it's soon revealed that Pervy Granny is using the nerd's body as a vessel. The aliens transform into even freakier versions of themselves, but Pervy Granny manages to get a hit in before being one-shotted. The nerd wasn't always a vessel for cursed grannies. As a child, he was fascinated by UFOs. He dreamed of being abducted, whisked away to the stars, but reality had other plans. No UFOs ever came. Still, he devoted his life to the study of extraterrestrials, even if it meant living as an outcast. His lonely existence began to shift when Momo entered his life. Momo, on the other hand, didn't have it easy growing up. She lost her parents at a young age and was raised by her eccentric grandmother, a medium. Momo had to perform elaborate good luck rituals before stepping outside, which made her a prime target for bullies. Even her crush turned on her, mocking her to no end. It's no wonder she's always on edge. This is villain origin story level material. Thanks to her supernatural background and the aliens tampering with her brainwaves, Momo unlocks psychic powers. She obliterates the last alien with a single strike, forcing Pervy Granny out of the nerd's body. Unfortunately, the victory is bittersweet. Pervy Granny manages to steal the nerd's meat. Yeah, you heard that right. I wasn't wrong when I said you probably won't meet anyone like her. As the UFO crashes, the duo narrowly escapes death. But just when things seem to settle, Momo discovers the nerd's real name is Ken Takakura. In a hilariously dramatic moment, she bans him from ever using his real name again and rechristens him Okarun. They retreat to Momo's grandma's house, where Okarun nearly gets cooked alive by a forgotten barrier seal. After cooling off, literally and figuratively, he ends up sporting a stylish afro. Their downtime is short-lived, however, as a ghost shows up at the door, summoned by Momo's negligence in reactivating the barrier. Besides the alien, another spirit appears there. Desperate, Okarun unleashes a cursed form to battle the spirit. He manages to chop off its fingers, but Momo quickly realizes they'll need a strategy. Her plan? Trip the alien to weaken it. Okarun charges at its legs, but the alien counters, evolving mid-battle and delivering a brutal combo on Momo. In a last-ditch effort, Momo creates a massive crater to protect Okarun. She reactivates the barrier, but the exertion causes her to pass out. Okarun starts losing control again, but the cavalry arrives just in time. Momo's grandmother, Seiko, steps in like an absolute legend. Momo wakes up, relieved to find everyone alive. She apologizes to Seiko for doubting ghosts in her youth. In turn, Seiko provides critical intel about Pervy Granny, revealing her true identity as Turbo Granny. To defeat her, they'll need to win a supernatural race. With new spirit-proof outfits and a heartfelt hug from Seiko, the duo prepares for their next challenge. Momo promises her grandmother she won't die, and the stage is set. As they approach the cursed tunnel, the battle for the weenie begins. Granny versus Okarun and Momo. Just as they reach the tunnel, Momo and Okarun start arguing like a newlywed couple about who should enter. In the end, they decide to enter together and even mocked Turbo Granny to calm their fear. Now, this is where they could have handled things slightly differently. Instead of jumping straight into action, Momo and Okarun should have installed traps outside. Besides this, Okarun should have used his speed to scout the tunnel instead of entering blindly, and Momo should have prepared her supernatural abilities. Additionally, setting up barriers or traps at the entrance could have provided a fallback plan in case of an ambush. Turbo Granny revealed herself as a monstrous, giant head, immediately blocking both exits of the tunnel. Panicking, Momo attempted to attack with her spiritual energy, but Turbo Granny absorbed the attacks with ease. Okarun prepared to use his turbo speed but reverted to his normal form, which shocked them. It turns out that Turbo Granny had returned his balls to him and the curse has been lifted. They were caught off guard and relied on brute force, which proved ineffective. Instead of attacking Turbo Granny blindly, a better approach is to confine her to a closed space where she cannot move effectively. In case you fail to do so, Momo should have focused more on the defensive barrier with Okarun attempting to create an opening for a counterattack. Since Momo is not a dumbass like you guys, she remembers Seiko's advice about Turbo Granny's pride in her speed and baits her into a game of tag. She set the terms, declaring they would have a 10-minute head start, but Turbo Granny turns out to be a bigger cheater than my ex and starts the chase after only 10 seconds. During the chase, Okarun and Momo ran without a clear plan, relying on luck to evade her. They could have used the environment more effectively, leading Turbo Granny through tight spaces and obstacles to slow her down. Alternatively, they could have set a decoy to lure Turbo Granny into a specific area where Momo could prepare a surprise spiritual attack. Turbo Granny caught Momo with ease, leaving Okarun as the sole target. Desperate, he bit Turbo Granny's saggy melons, catching her off guard and distracting her momentarily. Turbo Granny retaliated by possessing Okarun and shredding his priest outfit, regaining her confidence. While Okarun's improvised move was effective, they missed an opportunity to leverage the protective power of the priest outfit earlier. Okarun could have used the outfit's spiritual resistance to buy more time, while Momo set up a coordinated attack. Instead of getting lured into her trap, Okarun could have pretended to be vulnerable and forced Turbo Granny into making a mistake. Using her spiritual energy, Momo crushed Turbo Granny's dark aura, forcing her into a leech-like form trapped inside Okarun. This marked a turning point in the battle, as Momo demonstrated quick thinking and resourcefulness. However, they could have taken this opportunity to prepare a spiritual barrier around Turbo Granny's new form, ensuring she couldn't escape or regain her strength. Synchronizing their powers earlier could have made this moment less risky and more decisive. After trapping Turbo Granny, a crab-like spirit appeared, demanding her return to the tunnel. Okarun carried Momo at a turbo speed to escape, but their lack of coordination led to a crash. Momo's attempts to help her steer were disrupted, making their escape chaotic. Instead, they could have planned a controlled escape route with Momo using her powers to stabilize Okarun's movements. Strategically, guiding the crab spirit through narrow spaces or obstacles would have given them a better chance to outpace it. Momo and Okarun took shelter in a health resort, where Momo cleverly used hot spring water to scald and immobilize the crab spirit. While this tactic worked well, they could have used more of the resort's features to their advantage, like heavy objects or pipes, to set additional traps and weaken the crab spirit further. Instead of getting stuck in a drawn-out fight, they might have been better off focusing on escaping to a safe area or reuniting with Seiko for help. Turbo Granny escalated the fight by possessing the crab spirit and transforming into Turbo Crab. Momo and Okarun escaped by latching onto a moving train, leading Turbo Granny into a trap set by Seiko. The prepared spiritual barriers destroyed Turbo Crab, freeing the spirits Turbo Granny had consumed. While the plan ultimately succeeded, they could have lured Turbo Granny into the trap earlier, avoiding unnecessary danger and exhaustion. Better communication and execution during their escape would have ensured the plan went more smoothly, minimizing risks. Okarun and Momo demonstrated courage and resourcefulness throughout their battle with Turbo Granny, but their lack of preparation and coordination left them vulnerable at critical moments. They could have planned their approach to the tunnel more carefully, used the environments to their advantage, and synchronized their powers to create a decisive strategy. By setting traps earlier, exploiting Turbo Granny's arrogance, and improving their communication, they could have defeated her more efficiently and avoided unnecessary danger.